the parsha where Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, "V'tzavas Yeshua, b'chaskeu v'amtzeu." You should command Yeshua, meaning instruct him, give him an understanding what it means to be the leader of Klal Yisrael, what levels of responsibility he must assume, what are the challenges of being a Manig Yisrael. Strengthen him, give him the fervor, the confidence. Kihu Yavor, Lifnei Om Hazeh, he will pass before this people, and he will allow them to inherit, to conquer the land which you see. So Rashi cites Chazal, Kihu Yavor. Im Yavor Lifnei Yincholu. If he passes before them, if he leads them into Eretz Yisrael, that's when they're going to conquer the land, they're going to inherit the land. Vim Lav Lo Yincholu. But if not, they will not take possession of the land. That's a prerequisite to the conquest and the dividing of the land. It's Yeshua, no one else. He sent men to the eye, and he was stayed behind. Became Shenofel Aponov, and when he heard that there were 36 casualties, it says he prostrated himself on his face. Omelei kumloch. You remain behind, you sending my children to war. Why are you prostrating yourself on your face? Didn't I tell Moshe, your Rebbe, that if he passes before the people, then they succeed. And if he doesn't lead them and pass before them, they're not going to succeed. What exactly? Kihu Yavor. It's everything is contingent on Yeshua. No one else is able to bring about the result, only Yeshua. And everything's contingent on this. Why is this? We find that Yeshua was Moshe's successor. We find in terms of the transmitter of the Masorah from Sinai, Moshe Kibul Torah b'Sinai, Masorah Yeshua. So Rashi in Pirkei Avos asks, what about Aaron? What about Bonav? Why Yeshua? So Rashi cites Chazal because Yeshua is Nar Lo Moshe Bitoch Oil. He was the lad. He never separated himself from Moshe Rabbeinu. He was actually always attached to his Rebbe. Even at the time of the Chet Egel, when Moshe came down, before he broke the first set of Luchos, Yeshua was unaware of what was going on. They heard noise coming from the Machne. What was it? Was it a sound of victory? Was it a sound of loss? What was it? Didn't know. Because he was waiting at the foot of the mountain for his Rebbe to return. It was not Lo Yom Shpilch Oil. So in terms of the transition, there was no transition. It was literally almost the same person. Yeshua and Moshe. We say Yeshua's Pnei Levana, Moshe's Pnei Chamo. Yeshua's Pnei Levana. He's a reflection of his Rebbe in every aspect of his being. When he was told by HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he will be a successor, so Hashem says, transfer your ruach, your spirit onto him. So literally the spirit went onto him. We read in last week's parsha that Moshe Rabbeinu caused the sun to stop at midday. Teis Pachtachos, so the world should know who Moshe Rabbeinu is. But the same thing happened with Yeshua. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky, so the whole world understood that everything is subject to Klal Yisrael, to their existence. They dictate nature. But again, the identical thing, Moshe was about to pass away now. But again, it's one and the same person. It's transition. It's one transitioning to the other. But again, we find there's a pasuk, Melech b'mishpat yamed oretz. So there's a Medrash Tanchuma. Who's Melech b'mishpat yamed oretz? Melech ze Moshe Rabbeinu. Why is he called Melech? Because he's Malko Shel Torah. Because he's the Melech of Torah. He's the Melech. Yeshua was the same Melech. He was the Melech. He had a law of Melech. Many proofs. There's Rashi that Moshe Rabbeinu, what was his status? He was the king. Not only was he the Makabel Torah, he was the king. Yeshua took over that same position. He was the Melech. He was the Melech, even though there wasn't the official Melech, but in terms of his status, he was the Melech. we find that in terms of the machnos, the camps that traveled in the Midbar, what was the first camp to go? It was Machne Yehuda. And Machne Yehuda was comprised of what? Those representing Torah. That when you go out to fight the enemies, when you go to travel, when you have to contend with all the issues of life, what goes first? Those represent Torah goes first. That's the force, that's the power. And since Yeshua, in terms of being his Rebbe's successor in every sense of the word, as it says, Moshe Rabbeinu had said to Klal Yisrael when he gave them Musar, that when I pass away, you're going to do idolatry. So Rashi cites Chazal, but factually they didn't do idolatry till after Yeshua passed away. So why did he say after I pass away they can do Yeshua? After I pass away they're going to do idolatry? So Rashi cites Chazal. The Chazal say, because since Choviv Talmido Shel Odom Ka'atzmo, therefore as long as Yeshua was alive, Moshe felt it was like he was alive. Therefore only after Yeshua passed away, only then they did idolatry. But why was Yeshua able to establish a standard and understanding, a level of clarity that they didn't do idolatry? The answer is because Yeshua's presence was no less than his Rebbe's presence in terms of the effect, what he infused him in terms of understanding of what Torah is and what Torah is not. Only once he passed away, when that representation was no longer there, only then did they fail with idolatry. So therefore he says, Im hu over yavru. If Yeshua leads them, they're going to succeed. If not, they will not, because Yeshua has the identical representation as his Rebbe.